This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock has tips to protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report phishing, and update the software on your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, let LifeLock alert you to suspicious uses of your personal information. LifeLock also fixes identity theft, guaranteed or your money back. Stay smart, safe, and protected with a 30-day free trial at lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Every leap in American history has needed breakthrough energy.
Ignition, liftoff.
Now, AI is here, and Chevron is working to power it. We're aiming to develop multi-gigawatt power plants near data centers, designed with future pathways to lower carbon intensity. AI gets the power it needs, communities get the jobs, and the grid stays strong. Powering AI today builds America's next superpower.
Welcome to episode 58 of the High Volume Hiring Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts. I'm Stephen Rothberg with College Recruiter. I'm the founder and chief visionary officer. You might notice the background's a little bit different today. If it's, what's today, Thursday, then it must be another city. I'm in Chicago for a family function, but here for an interview with my awesome co-host, Jeanette Leeds of AMS. Jeanette, over to you.
Well, I'm Jeanette Leeds from AMS. For those who don't know me, I'm the executive vice president / managing director overseeing our hourly high volume solution practice. We really are a tech-enabled RPO that helps organizations scale. And we are here today with Kevin Wheeler, who wrote a book. And Kevin is, let's say, background, author, consultant, founder, and president. It's a lot of good titles there, of the Future of Talent Institute. And he's the co-author of the Talent Acquisition Excellence book. And he is here today. We're so lucky and excited to have you here to talk about your new book. So welcome.
Great to be here. Yeah, thanks. Great to be here.
So why don't we start off with like a softball, easy question? I know the title is around analytics and digital. Oh, we have it right here. Using digital capabilities and analytics to improve recruitment, which is just a personal favorite topic of mine, which may sound crazy, but I suspect that will lead into why did you write the book? Tell us about that.
Yeah.
Well, during the pandemic, we had nothing else to do.
End of the interview. That was great, Kevin. Thank you so much.
But no, it's been an issue that's been a big deal for me for a long time. Is how do we use better analytics, particularly, but also the emerging digital capabilities and AI to improve recruiting. And I think we've got a long way to go to improve it. And Bas and I have been colleagues and friends for a long time. I do a lot of work in the Netherlands, and I've known him for decades now. Hard to say that, but it's true. And he's really focused on the same things. Particularly, his focus is really around more assessment and selection techniques. So we were a good partnership in writing the book, and I just really think there's a lot that needs to be improved in talent acquisition, and hopefully this book brings some insights to that.
Awesome. So we're going to show the QR code for the book. So if viewers want to go to Amazon and pick up a copy, which they should, there'll be a couple opportunities here. So get your phones ready, get your camera app open. Tell us a little bit about Bas. I've had the good pleasure to interact with him a ton of times. Because of the pandemic, I wasn't able to meet him in person at a conference that we were supposed to both be speaking at. The conference got canceled because of apparently they didn't want people dying or something stupid like that. But tell us a little bit about Bas and why the book. Other than the pandemic and having time, why not this book say 20 years ago? Why now?
Well, I don't think. The analytics and the technology was there 20 years ago, really, to write this book. It's Bas and I have been talking about this for a very long time, about process improvement and how to get it better. And the thing that was missing and always has been missing for many years was the capability to get the data to get the analytics that you really needed to make things better, right? So now and for the last decade, we've increasingly been able to get that data and use it more effectively with HRIS tools, with all sorts of other tools. And then with the advent of AI and ChatGPT, it just has accelerated the whole process. And it's really, almost inexcusable if you're not using analytics and technology today to make your recruiting more effective, to select better people based on data instead of on assumptions and biases, right? And so, I mean, this is really the whole message of the book: is how can you really reimagine the recruiting function, restructure it in a way that is much more 21st century, that's much more based on analytics, that's using technology not to replace recruiters, but to make them better and give them the access and the tools they need to be much more effective at what they do. And that's really the whole idea. It's a lot of people are really afraid that AI is going to replace recruiters, and some may be replaced by it, but for the most part, it's going to be a tremendous asset to giving you a lot more information to make much better decisions and hire higher quality people, and that's the bottom line.
I could not agree more with that, right? I mean, that is, you just hit the nail. You just hit it. One thing that's coming to mind is when you wrote the book, did you have a particular target audience in mind? Was it more for, the head of HR, head of TA, a recruiter, like what level, right? Because it's just depending where you are in an organization, there could be a slightly different angle to think about.
Yeah, no, it was definitely aimed primarily at the head of talent acquisition, but also for sure the head of HR. Yeah. I mean, I think they both work in tandem, and believe it or not, the head of learning and development, because I think that developing talent is just as important as buying talent, right? And we need to get recruiters more involved in encouraging the organization to develop people and create policies that make it better and easier for them to recruit people internally than we have today. For the most part today, it's a real challenge to recruit people internally for a lot of reasons, but many of them are just policy issues, compensation issues. So I think the triumvirate, the HR leader, the L&D leader, and the recruiting leader all need to work together to make the overall talent process more effective in any organization that exists today.
So let me ask a follow-up question to Jeanette. So not just like the level of the person or job title of the reader, but one of the things that I love to talk with you about, Kevin, is sort of the global aspect, how recruiting works differently in different countries, how high volume hiring, I'm sure, works very differently, whether it's in the Netherlands or Thailand or South Africa or the US or wherever. Is this a book primarily for an American audience, a European audience, globally? Where do you see that? And then also related to that, for global companies, for local companies, who should be reading this book? Like geographically and type of organization.
Another reason that Bas and I partnered on this was we really wanted to make this book a global in scope. So we've got stories and case studies from all over the world, from Singapore, from Australia, from Europe, from America, from Canada. So we've really tried to be as global as we can be in our research and our experience. And I've had a ton of experience in Australia and Southeast Asia. Bas has had a ton of experience in Europe. So we really covered as much as we could of the world. There's even stories from South America in the book. So I think that the lessons we've put in there apply to any company, particularly global companies that are working in multiple countries, because I think all of this applies to all of them and to how they do business. But it also applies to smaller companies as well. And there's no reason that a mid-sized or small company can't use analytics and do some of the things that we talk about in this book as well. There's nothing in this book that means you've got to have billions of dollars or huge numbers of people in order to be more effective at what you do. It's really about changing how you think and how you access and use data more effectively. And it can be on an Excel spreadsheet, and it can be in AI. It really just depends on the size and capability of your organization. And many places in the world are still doing a lot of really good stuff with fairly primitive tools that but it's about changing how you think about things and using the data that you have more effectively. That's really
well. Those of us who are primitive really like that.
Because surprisingly, there are so many organizations who literally are using, Excel, right? Or
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
even more primitive, which is, you would think everyone is light years ahead, but there's still lots of organizations out there, which I still always find interesting. But it's, I don't know what percentages are. One thing that's just coming to mind is, given that our audience is, focusing on high volume, maybe you could share one story or, I don't know, nugget or something, not to put you on the spot, that might like really resonate with them.
This is William Tincup, and I'd like to direct you to a wonderful limited series podcast that Ryan and I recorded live at the ERE Recruiting Innovation Summit. We sat down with 20 recruiting and TA leaders from around the world to hear what today's best recruiters are doing to stay sharp, stay relevant, and stay ahead. It's called The Talent Shift. You'll love it. You'll find the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Listen, like, review, share. Do you?
There, or
I mean, there's
anything.
quite a number of companies that have highly automated high volume recruiting. And I think that's one of the areas that you can really effectively use AI to do. For example, if you're staffing a call center with hundreds of people and you're needing to recruit hundreds of people, the qualifications and skills for being effective in a call center are pretty well quantified and identifiable, and they can be assessed pretty clearly with technology, whether you speak Spanish or Chinese or not, whether you have, a good customer service personality. These things can easily be assessed with technology. And I think that there's a number of companies that are just almost completely eliminating the human part of recruiting and hiring high volume people. And, and we say, oh my God, that's horrible. It's not horrible. In fact, when we look at candidates, they love this. They love not having to be burdened with, having an interview with a live person. They'd much rather say, look, I can do this job. Let me show you I can do it, and then get hired. So, it's so many things in life, whether it's, doing the self-checkout at the supermarket or whatever, people actually like doing things without being involved with somebody else in many cases. It streamlines things, it makes it easier, it makes it faster. It's just a better experience. So in the cases where it is a better experience and where that's the expectation of your audience, technology is a huge benefit and really can accelerate the process. So it's being used to hire truck drivers. Tremendous number of companies are using this to hire drivers of various types, to call center staff. There's lots of jobs that are very high volume recruiting, fairly high, in some cases, high turnover. And what's interesting is by using this technology, the turnover actually goes down because we're actually hiring better people who were hiring before, or people that, not better, but people that have the right set of skills for that job, instead of being picked on, I didn't like the way your voice sounded, or whatever it was that a human gets involved in the selection process. So it's less biased. It's much more based on what you can do and what you demonstrate you can do. So, I think in high volume recruiting is the sweetest spot at the moment for AI and technology, but it's moving into mid-management pretty quickly as well, or mid-level positions as well.
Awesome. Well, we are unfortunately out of time. I'm just going to add like one slight commentary to what you just said, Kevin, because we have another guest in weeks that's going to be talking about the algorithm. And one of the things that her book talks about, very much like what you just said too, about people preferring the robot or the AI to a human, is that's particularly true with groups that have historically been discriminated against. Yes. That they feel, and I think there's some justification for it, that they're going to get a fairer shake with technology than people. Whether that's actually true all the time or not, that's another podcast, and maybe we'll talk to Bas down in a future episode about that. But thank you, Jeanette. Any closing words?
I think what I would just want to hammer in or really what we say double click on is your point around technology. It actually it can minimize bias, right? I always say can't eliminate it because that's but it can really minimize it versus a totally human process. So I just, that is such a huge point that I love that you said that. And I'm excited for our future podcast, David. So I didn't even realize. I'm like,
I booked these guests, so I get the credit or I get the blame. But Kevin, it has been awesome as always. Wherever you are traveling next, and I think you are in a seat in an airplane more often than you're in a seat in your home. Safe travels, and thank you for the book and the contribution to making this hiring process a little bit of a better place for people.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Happy to share my story, and thanks for having me again. Yeah.
Awesome. Cheers.
excellent. Thanks. Bye.
There.